Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. This is the podcast for middle managers who want to develop themselves, develop their teams, and improve their results. I got the honor of sitting down with author and leadership coach Rahul Sharma. And Rahul brought so much wisdom to the podcast. He talked a lot about his book, Habits 4, that would be the number 4, Habits for Miracles. And he talked about how those little things that we can get past every day, such as if we quit smoking or we really get into a great exercise routine, that should be considered a miracle. He talked about mind talk and what that really means to leaders, especially today. He talked about what the top skills that leaders should have today, so much more. You don't want to miss a second of Rahul. Let's get at it. Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. I have got an inspirational leader here today with us. I'm going to jump right in because I really want us to get the full scope of his backstory, which is amazing. So I want to introduce author and leadership coach Rahul Sharma to the show today. Rahul, it is so great to have you on. How you doing?
Thank you, Kenny. I'm doing amazing. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you too. You have such an amazing backstory, and there are so many, I think, steps that have led you to doing what you're doing today. So I want to give you plenty of time and space to talk about that. So tell us, what's your backstory and what has led you to do all these amazing things that you are doing today?
I would say first is people. It's the people with whom I've worked has really inspired me to do things that I have done. Primarily, when I see folks who have a lot of potential, but for whatever reason, they are not able to tap into that potential. And sometimes I wonder at why they are not promising or why they are not doing so great. And initially, it was a little challenging for me to find out. And when I did a deeper dive, I realized that there are a lot many things that goes on in human mind that does not allow them to take right action.
Mm-hmm.
And the first and foremost, Kenny, that I liked about it or I learned is was a lack of having a right mentor. They were not getting right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that really motivated me to write this book and talk about few habits that I have inculcated and that has helped me over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's people who have inspired me to do what I'm doing today.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Tell us about one of those mentors that has inspired you, and what did they do to inspire you? How did they tap into your potential?
So I would talk about my first mentor in my first job when I just completed my MBA back in 1999,
Uh-huh.
and it was the my business unit head. He was not an HR person. He was the technology head of a telecom division of an information technology company.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things which I liked about him was constantly giving input and encouraging me to the with the initiative that I was running.
Mm-hmm.
Many a times as an HR professionals, when we go to a leader, when we go to the business heads about any new initiative, new proposal, 9 out of 10 times it does not go the way we want it to
Mm-hmm.
because the perspective is different. But this leader, he was always about people. He always encouraged me to do what I was doing for people. And there was one instant happened in that time, Kenny, where I was asked to let go a few of our team members, our employees whom I hired.
Uh-huh.
And it was very difficult.
Yes.
Uh, I could not do that.
Mm-hmm.
I could not do that. I went to my leader and see what else we can do, how we can save jobs for of these people. And the question was, or the thought process was that, hey, we don't have budget. There is a budget cut. They are all great people, but there is a budget cut. And I was like, hey, there is no problem from them. That is not their issue. That is not their problem.
Mm-hmm.
What I eventually ended up doing was trying to talk to different business unit head and see if we can accommodate these people, if there is a job for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to find job for two, but three of them were had to let go. But where I'm going at is I could not do it. It
Yeah.
was a part and parcel of an HR, but I didn't have the courage to let go those employees. So someone from the corporate team had to do that for me. But that was a learning process that in a business, there are things that needs to be done from a business perspective, which is a budgeting, which is the industry, how industry is working. And this leader supported me big time, supported in my decision. And the learning I had was to make sure that we empower our people, we focus on upskilling our people so they do not become redundant.
Yeah.
Upskilling, reskilling is something very, very important. So this leader encouraged me, supported me, worked hand in hand with me, and was available for whenever I was needing him. Not when he had time to meet with me, he was available to talk with me, listen to my ideas. So those were the things that really helped me in the person I am. And it's been over 20 years. I'm still connected with this individual. He is based in Bangalore, India, and whenever I travel, we are able to connect. So that
Wow.
was one instant about a leader that helped me.
That's so awesome. And the inspiration of the recall, you recall that in such great detail. It felt like I was sitting right there with you as you're starting to sweat. I gotta let these people go. But very, very specific on how that leader influenced you and tapped into, your potential. And so I guess that begs a question, because I do want to get to the book, but why do leaders miss stuff like that? Because that obviously took time out of his day to sit down with you and to kind of talk you through things. Do you see some of the same things I do, that I see a lot of leaders that miss that personal connection like that? Why is that?
So that's a great point. Personal connect. And it is just not about the leader, Kenny. It is about anyone in the
Yeah.
corporate or in a personal life. And one of the reason I think people miss is because in their background, they have never seen that kind of connect. So it's an unknown territory for them that okay, something like this also happens. Is the upbringing that they had, is the surrounding that they have grown in. Since they have not seen, they do not know the impact of having that personal connect.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I have seen great success stories of people when there is a personal connect.
Yeah.
I think there is this very famous phrase that people leave managers, not organization.
Yes. It's so
Uh,
true.
leave leaders, not organization.
Yes.
And I have seen people connected with their leaders. They move on company to company wherever their leaders are going, just because they so much enjoy to work with them, and that is that personal connect, which really goes long way and makes a whole lot of a difference.
Yes.
And and
Absolutely.
and on that note, on personal connect, I feel it is knowing your people behind the laptop, behind that screen, uh, more than the name and their job title, and then what they do for you. That
Yes.
is what I see or mean by that personal connect.
Yes. Oh, no doubt. I love what you said there. Every word of it. And I love that you said it's so important to see those examples and have those examples in our lives so that we can then pass that on. Um, let's talk about the book Habits for Miracles. And I ordered my copy, so I can't wait to dig into it. Um, but tell me a little bit about what was the inspiration for writing it and what does the title even mean?
So this inspiration was my current coach, Dr. Deladoro McNeil, Big Deal McNeil, as we say, as we address him.
Uh,
It was a project that was given where we were asked to do a presentation on something that we have never done.
hmm,
It has to be created by yourself. It cannot be copied from anywhere. And that was the time I still remember I was sitting on my flight from DC to Tampa to attend this 1 week of event. And that's where I was just thinking about few things that was creeping in my mind. Number one was why people unable to unleash their potential. What
Mm,
are the things that really impact their performance? And I thought that if there are some habits that can be inculcated that can give you the results, which itself is a miracle. And there are two instances in my life, big time, that really happened. One was I used to smoke, and I was a chain smoker for almost a decade.
mm,
And then I just let go, and it was not easy process.
hmm.
And when that happened, that was a miracle for me because I have seen many people struggling.
Yes.
And the second instance, just 2 years ago, Kenny, I wanted to go to gym for my swimming, and I was an avid swimmer in my early childhood. It was very disaster in terms of the output. I could not swim for more than one lap without break. It
Oh,
was very difficult.
uh-huh.
And over a period of 3 weeks, with the constant mind talk and constant manifestation, I was able to reach to 40 laps
Wow.
without break.
40. Wow. Wow.
And those things, when they happen to me, I realized that this has some power. These habits have some power and can get us miraculous results. So that's where this name came up, that if we inculcate these habits, we can achieve miracle in our life. We can achieve results that we have never seen.
Yeah. Man, I love that. And I love that you're using the word miracle because I think it is when you can, after a decade, stop smoking and you said yourself it wasn't easy, but you stopped. That is a miracle, and I love that. Um, so you mentioned mind talk, so I'm really curious on what your definition of that is. So tell us a little bit about mind talk.
So mind talk is monodialogue with your mind. And it is about the positive things that you tell to yourself that tends to have positive thoughts in your mind, which enables you to take positive action. In turn, it gives you positive results.
Mm,
So what I mean by positive talk is when you go to your bed, talk about things that you want to achieve in the next day or next week positively. It could be that I want to complete this chapter tomorrow, or I want to complete this presentation. So the way I will say is Rahul will complete this chapter tomorrow, end of the day.
hmm,
Rahul will complete this presentation tomorrow, end of the day.
hmm.
And what happens, Kenny, is when we do this in the night, it remains in our mind subconsciously.
Yes.
And next day, when we wake up, if we repeat it, it still remains in our subconscious mind and it allows us to take those actions that will take closer to the finish line.
Hmm,
So
hmm.
it's all about the positivity in our mind. And this is something I have been also practicing, and my testimonials are more like my kids and my family. And
Uh,
my kids are already started talking about this mind talk, and they use that very frequently. And just one example I will give you. One day, my son was, when I was dropping him to school, he said, I don't feel like going to school today. And I said, why? Well, today I have an arts class and I don't like it. What do you like about art class? He said, I just don't enjoy it.
uh,
So I heard him and I said, why don't you do this today? Before your art class, why don't you tell this one statement 5 times in your mind that you one will like the art class, you one will love the art class, you one will enjoy the art class, you one will have fun in his art class, and and then see what happens.
hmm, hmm.
So I do not know exactly what he did, but when he came back from school, he told me that he had fun in the art class.
Oh yeah, fun. Wow. Okay.
And that is just one small example,
Yeah.
that how this positive thoughts can help us in leading a very healthy and happier life.
Yeah. I love that. That is so awesome. I want to go a little bit further. How long about did it take you to really adapt that is part one of my question. And in part two, what happens when we just have a awful day when stuff does happen? How does this really, really help? Because I think I have an idea of what you're going to say, but how long did it take, first of all?
So it does take time, Kenny. It's
Yes.
these things does not happen overnight.
Yes.
And more than how much time, it also depends on the surrounding, the people that you are with,
Oh,
because
wow. Yes.
they also gives you those energy, whether it is positive or negative. So you need to have people who are supporting you, who are encouraging you, who are partnering with you in your dreams and your goals. So it definitely takes a minimum 30 to 31 days to really do it on a consistent basis.
Hmm.
And once it becomes part of practice, then it is something like, how people crave for having caffeine, or having a cup of coffee in the morning. Then you will start craving for having those positive thoughts, those
Wow.
positive manifestation. That
Yeah.
is how your body will demand it.
Hmm.
And and the second part of your question was, when we are having an awful day, and yes, we will have it, this part of our life, right?
Yes.
Life is full of challenges. When we are having an awful day, sometimes it is in our control, sometimes it is not in our control. So if it is not in our control, we just have to stay calm, just be patient, have patience to deal with that situation.
Yes.
And something, there are many calming techniques that you can use when you are having an awful day. Or the other thing that I do sometimes, Kenny, is just take off for that rest of the day if I'm having an awful day.
Wow.
Because as a leader, no one has given right to disturb someone else's life. And
Yes.
as a leader, we are supposed to lead so many lives. So
Yes.
when, let's say, if I'm having an awful day, and I think if I goes on a call with you, and that has an impact on what I'm talking with you, it will have a very negative connotation on you as a person,
Yes.
which this has nothing to do with you, but just because I'm having a bad day, I'm not able to give my best. So I always encourage my team leaders to either reschedule the calls if they are having important calls, take a personal day off, or just take a couple of hours just off from work, just to re-energize themselves, do something that they like, and then come back with full of energy.
Wow. That's priceless advice. And I love that, almost like restarting the day. And coming back. And you said something so important there, how leaders, when they're having that off day, and if they take it out on their team, man, their team doesn't forget that, they'll remember that,
Absolutely.
they'll
Absolutely.
bank that. I love that. In 30 to 31 days, that's really not that long if you're consistent, with it. And it's life changing. There's no doubt about it. This has been amazing. I want to now get some advice from you for leaders. So Rahul, what are two or three of the top skills that you think leaders really need to have these days in 2023?
Number one, I would say, is giving feedback.
Mm,
As a leader, it is very important for us to give feedback and also receive feedback,
hmm.
because we need to know how we are doing as a leader.
Yes.
And if you don't tell your team members how they are doing, they will not be able to improve. So
Hmm.
that is number one, the art of giving and receiving feedback.
Hmm.
Uh, Number two skill, I would say, is reading. As leaders, and my senior colleague Mike, he always says that leaders are readers. So as a leader, you need to constantly reading, upskilling yourself so that you are aware of the things around you. You are more, engaging with your team members.
Yes. Yes.
And number three, I would say, is being transparent with your people, being authentic with your people, either when you are talking with them, either when you are doing anything behind their back. Many a times as leaders, we do a conversation about our team member with some another leader. So how transparent we are, how authentic we are is very, very important for us as a leader. So giving, receiving feedback, reading and being transparent in all our communication, whether with employees or with our peers or leaders, are very, very critical in my mind.
Those are great skills that you named, and skills that that should come easy, to a lot of leaders, but a lot of times it doesn't. And I love that you said the art of feedback, because it is an art, it is a skill, right? That you can learn and get better at all the time. What areas do you see mainly in your travels where leaders are falling short these days?
I think you touched upon it earlier, Kenny, and I would say personal connect. Personal connect is something missing in
Yes.
many of our leaders. And the other aspect of leadership is you need to deal with people differently. So, for
Mhm.
example, if I have 5 team members or 10 team members, I cannot use same way of leading them, all 10 of them.
Mhm.
So, as a leader, I have to have an ability to go to the team members' thought process and understand their style so I can connect with them.
Yes.
And sometimes we feel that, hey man, my technique is working with 3 of my team members, it is not working with two of them. And the reason it is not working is it's not their style. You need to go and learn their style. And that is what this concept of situational leadership. So
Yes.
different situation also demand different type of leadership.
Yes.
Similarly, different individuals, different personalities demand different type of leadership from us as leaders.
Yeah. I love that. I hear leaders too often, Rahul, say, I want my team to adapt to my leadership style. It's got to be my way. But that,
Mhm.
I tell leaders, don't get yourself locked into one leadership style, because, next week you can have a total different team, and you've got to figure out, well, what is it that they need and they want. I love that you said that. That is awesome. My next to last question, and that miracles in your book, is that an acronym?
What's that?
Oh, miracles in your book, is that an acronym? What does that stand for?
Yes, yes, yes. It is an acronym. So 8 habits, 8 letter word miracles, and M in miracle stands for mind talk. I stands for ideation. R stands for reading. A stands for analyzation. Uh, C stands for calmness. L stands for listening. And here, listening, I'm a little bit deviating more than the active listening to more self listening, not just listening to others, but
Wow.
listening to self.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about in the chapter.
Yeah.
And E stands for exercise, and S stands for silence.
Wow. Wow.
So
I love
these
that.
are the 8 habits.
I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to read. I
Awesome.
love that. Can I just mention this one other thing that has stood out for me, because you weave this in throughout our talk here, is that self-development. You mentioned reading, and you've just mentioned it again. And a lot of leaders I come across, and this infuriates me, that they say they just don't have time to develop themselves. This is one of the reasons why, probably the main reason I wanted to do this podcast, because they can gain so much in 30 minutes. But I love that you find the time to constantly develop yourself, and that's one of your strong recommendations. So that is so awesome.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
has been amazing. I've gotten so much from you. I've learned so much from you, and I know folks that will listen will learn so much from you as well when they listen to this. How can people get in touch with you?
People can log into my book's website, Kenny, Habits for Miracles. And it is habits number 4, not FOR, but the
Number
numeric
4.
4,
Yes. Yes.
miracles.com. and they can know more about the book. They can connect with me on social media, and they can also request for the book if they have interest in reading it in more detail.
Awesome. 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 So please, folks, do that. This has been amazing. I thank you so much for your time. You're such an inspirational leader. And I just, I love the things that's happening in your life. Your whole story is amazing. I think people will see more about your own personal story and journey, which is also amazing when they log into your site. So, folks, we're going to leave it there. This has been the Leading from the Middle podcast with Kenny and with Rahul. And we will talk to you real soon. Thank you again, sir.